Hi, and welcome to our last segment of the Branches Time Together. We've looked at what does it mean to know Christ, to be intimately connected to Him, so that I'm growing in my relationship, realizing that knowing Him is this walking together through life, where I'm inviting Him into the fullness of who I am. And He reveals Himself to be more and more and greater as I get to know Him. Then what does it mean to trust Him? Not just to obey Him blindly without knowing Him, not to be guilt-ridden by doing, but more about being a person that has trust this one that leads me to walk with Him, to want to obey Him because of my trust in Him. So knowing relationship, trusting Him in that relationship, and last time we talked about what does it mean to love Jesus Christ, the fullness of who we are. And that's the heart, the soul, the mind, the strength, everything that we are, that we open ourselves up to taking our emotions, our mind, our convictions, our self, and we point it in His direction. We just are overwhelmed with love for Him as we do the things we talked about in those 5 sessions that you did this week. Now, we're to the final one on ultimately bringing them all together, because to know Him and to trust Him and to love Him all leads us to this place where He invites us to change everything, to turn around. The word actually repent means to turn around. You're going in this direction, and now you go in this direction. What does that mean? Well, the language that Jesus uses is the language of following. Our life's call, our life's vocation to be a disciple of Jesus is that as we know Him, as we trust Him, as we love Him, we therefore put all of ourselves into this thing called following Him. He even says this, pretty strong words in Luke chapter 9, where He says, anyone that wants to be my disciple, my learner, the one that is part of me and my story, anyone that wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and then follow me. See, to the Jews at that time, they were an occupied country by the Romans, and the Romans would take criminals and insurgents to make a kind of an example out of them. They would nail them to crosses and hang them on the roads so people would see people hanging on crosses dying all the time. It was a normal part of their life. So Jesus uses the same metaphor. Is we really want to be His. This is where we leave it for the final one. To know Him, great. To trust Him, moving into that. To love Him, what I feel as I encounter Him, as I give that to Him. But now what it really means for me to be a disciple of Jesus is that I let go of me. I'm willing on a daily basis. That's why He uses that word daily. Luke chapter 9, verse 23, and I follow Him. This is the theme that Jesus presented throughout His ministry, of how important it is that disciples realize it's not just kind of a sideline, it's another part of my life. But why we've gone through branches is so you would know that to follow Jesus Christ is your literal calling, your vocation. If you're a teacher, a therapist, a counselor, a homemaker, a business person, a cop, whatever it is you do, that's how you engage the world and get a paycheck. But your vocation, your calling, is to come and follow Him. Jesus even says the strong words to His disciples in John 15. He goes, you did not choose me, but I chose you. John 15:16. I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last. I chose you, I appointed you. He said it not only to His disciples there in that upper room the night before He's killed, John 15, but He says it to you and to me. Jesus Christ is opening His arms. He's inviting you to be His. And that means to be His. We leave everything behind. We drop our nets. We follow Him. That doesn't mean we leave relationships. It doesn't necessarily mean we leave jobs, maybe. We don't leave primary commitments or children or parents or those that we have know that we must give. But aside from those primary relationships, and even those need to be folded into our following Him. What does it mean to be a disciple? It We know him. We trust him, and therefore obey him. We love him, and yes, we follow him. That's really what it comes down to. This is the goal of Branches, is that you would take seriously his call, that you see his eyes, you look him in the eye, you hear his voice, you look at his word, and you realize that every day belongs to him, every minute, every relationship, every dime we spend, every conviction we have belong to him, and we follow him. And as we follow him, then we engage together to represent him to his world, the world and creation that he loves. So this week we've looked at what does it mean for you to follow Christ, and here as we end up Branches, we want to let you know that this is only the beginning of your journey. That whether you go on to membership and that's where it starts for you, or do you get involved in a ministry at your church, or whether you're doing something outside for others, it's all located within the knowing, trusting, loving, and yes, following him. May our community be a place that is the gathering together of those who follow Jesus Christ by taking up a cross every day and trusting him, loving him, knowing him, and following him. Thanks for being a part of Branches.